watched it. I was
What
a
are
second
you
off.
smirking about over there?
I was
What's
a
that all
second
about?
off.
Huh?
As a second off, if you rewatch that back, we are there, and then I click it.
All right. Well, we're just gonna have to scrap the whole thing then.
Yeah. Start again. Come back in another 15.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I need to mute the stream here so that way you guys don't hear me talking. Good morning to everyone that's in here. It looks like we got Brokioshi. How you doing? I show we've only got 2 people in here. I'm the other person, so hopefully that's not true. But we'll go ahead and get started, guys. We're going to take a look at some charts as always and go over the price action because we did have some interesting price action going into last night. I actually was covering it live in the moment when it was happening. I'll walk you through what I did and how you should have looked at it and look at the price action going forward. So first things first. Oh, entire screen. There we go. Screen 2. Haven't seen that before. All right. So this is the DXY. This was our inflection box. What did we talk about? That this is resistance until proven otherwise. If it gets flipped, we're looking for upside. However, you've come into it now here. You've swung fail on a daily into pretty much the edge of the gold pocket here and this local like open or closure, however you want to look at it. If you go to the weekly, you can see this is kind of where the last weekly settle up was. But realistically, you've come in. What was kind of interesting about this whole interaction was this piece right here when Mr. Powell was talking. I believe we did get economic data as well. It was hard to find the stream. It wasn't showing on my feed. That's weird. I always post them on Twitter. So if you're in Twitter or you're on Twitter, I would definitely recommend turning on the bell. I don't post a lot on Twitter, but I usually do post the stream every single morning. And I don't think I put it in our social media, or maybe Max did. He did. He's the man. So yeah, that's the only thing I'll say there. Is sometimes YouTube's like that. And there's a lot of people live right now. So I appreciate that you guys are in here watching us break down the charts. But really interesting coming back up to it. Then you've come back up. And so you'll notice now you're putting in what? A local downtrend, right? You've got a low high scenario here where we'll just pull up this. You can see that you've got a local low to a high, new high. Now right here, you're threatening to make a lower low, right? I'm just going to skip over this and lower high into what? A lower low. So we now have a local like 1 hour downtrend at resistance. So you would basically be identifying your next support. Simply put, looking at this, it's a ways away. Realistically, you don't have support for quite some time. I think you'd be coming into it now. You could just say it's the top of this old section of price right here. Okay. You could just extend this to the right. And there you go. Okay, so you can see this is your wick high on your SFP of the range initially, along with this daily candle open. We're just kind of using it, or close, I guess, just using it as a little extra area on the box. But realistically, you've already back tested your old range. So you're coming into support on the DXY. Would be curious to see if you get a lower high off of this, or if it pushes down lower into these regions. If it pushes lower, that's going to bode really well for Bitcoin and other assets. However, if this finds support here and makes a run back at this resistance and starts consolidating, making a new uptrend on the daily potentially, because as you can see, just what we did with the polyline tool, you can also do here. And what you'll notice is what? You've got a pretty large downtrend right now. So if you put in the low here, you want to see this. If you want to be bullish on the DXY, you want to see it coming up and actually making a new high, establishing a new trend. However, I think that's getting ahead of ourselves. I think for right now is just understand this is at support. Bitcoin has also hit resistance that's important inside of the range. We're going to talk about that, and we'll just roll right into that. So these things start to tie together. As the DXY is melting down here into support, what was going on with Bitcoin? It was coming into its support. So those two things alone usually add up to a decent little trade, right? So we've got a lot of lines on the chart. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these guys real quick, and this guy, and even this guy. Okay, so straight away, previous week open up here at the highs and the previous week high, very important. What else do we have here? Previous week low, also very important. I actually believe this is an old previous. No, it's the right previous week low. Yeah, we're good there. This is the wrong previous week high, but it's the swing fail, so I'm going to leave it there. Previous week low has been taken into what? The 6M1, 22,407. That was the level. And we were kind of on about, like, if you went out to the daily, you should be looking, realistically down a little bit. And I was looking for 22,561 last night as kind of an important low to be gauging this reaction from. So you had some interesting price action. As you came down straight to the level at 22,407. And I believe I have XO up as well. I do want to take a look at that. So as we were coming into this level, I actually did not take this initial trade, right? I think it's right here. That's it. This one. Main reason I didn't take this trade is it really wasn't seeing the buying imbalances and new buyers entering the market. And you can see we came down, really quick move, OIs coming off, things you want to see, into a really key support level at 22,407, right? So we already know straight away that we're interested in this move, but this might not be the entry. And so what I had told them was I didn't take it. I was looking back up to 22,561 for some kind of a confirmation, and then looking up to potentially 22,750 to front run this 22,810 level, which we'll talk about, which is your September high, still gets things really, really well. So if we crack the September high, we'll talk about what we're looking for. And those are going to be the next targets, for this. And I think that they're valid as of right now. But if you were patient and you sat this move out, for me, I just told them, I was like, I would be comfortable with letting my stop loss get hit here if, I took this trade. Stop loss will go below the low. Obviously, that would have got you stopped out. However, what do we talk about frequently on this channel is that just because you get stopped out of that initial first trade, you did get first take profit on this first trade as well. It did come in if you took it. You ended up getting a second trade. So you get to take the trade again. So you just let it stop you out because you have to be able to define risk. If you cannot define risk, you should not be just sitting in a trade without a stop loss, right? So either you worked up your risk to have a super wide stop all the way down below probably these local lows right here, or you're just trading this real time saying, okay, I'm waiting for the next push into this level, because what we had on order flow was not giving us a good low right here. You can see that this was, you don't have buying imbalances until about right here. And as they're coming in, the open interest increase isn't that great. And you can see that your delta is kind of low in terms of what you want to see. You want to see this really ticking over and being strong. So as you came in and took the low, what did you get? You can see a lot of sell imbalances here. These are probably people either, I'd have to look into it, shorting the low, or being forced to sell as their stop losses are taken from this prior low right here. So you can see that here, stop losses coming out, forced to sell out of those positions. And what do we get? Same thing, really fast candle, high negative delta at the lows. And then you start getting the stronger positive delta right here straight away, which is what you want to see. You want to see that V shape in delta and V shape in recovery here with the strong buying imbalances of, 650K, 1.5 million, 1.6, 2.4, 1.2, 1.5, right? The OI is going up with it. It looks a lot better. Straight to the VWAP, grinds against it, and then up it goes, right? So no real formal rejection there even. That is what you want to see. You want to see that, and you've got strong delta, the whole trend. So the trend looks good right now in terms of where we are locally on this move. So then you just need to have your targets in play, okay? So what I mean by that is you've already found your entry. It was the secondary entry. I took this last night. I closed at the VWAP, just preeminently was closing here at the VWAP because that's where I was going to take my first profit. And then I went to bed because that's what I wanted to do. So you can see right here on the secondary entry, boom, you've taken the low. Previous week low has been swept. You can't preset for this level. You have to take it real time, because if you don't hold this low, as we mentioned, there's nothing beneath you. Like if we got to the 4 hour, you can see exactly what I mean. You lose this area of the chart. Presetting is dangerous unless you're just presetting with a predetermined risk percentage. So you're basically taking it back to the VWAP, or this local low at 22,561 was the low that I was talking about. And I believe I saved it right here. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this. This is the one that I was interested in. And I'm going to make sure that we get this right. There you go. This low right here. Okay. Go down to the 5 minute. You can look and see the interaction with it. Interaction's pretty clean, even on the initial bounce. Boom, boom, resistance. Then you're chopping around it, finally confirming a support along with the VWAP. You get the move up. And what do? You come back, you've back test that previous daily low, go out to the daily time frame, and you can see that it's not your technical previous day low. However, it is an important low inside of this little structure here, meaning that as we were putting in candles in this area, this was going to be a key one because it's the overall low that we've made since, coming up above 22,810. That's going back to January, the last time we were discounting this price action. So these candles on over from the 31st. So that's good 8 days worth of price action. So pretty important low to hang on to. From there, you're looking at 22,810. Then we can go ahead and say, all right, next I'm interested in 23,245 if you reclaim 22,810, that is. And then we're looking up to where our next weekly highs in this region right here. So this is going to be, if you wanted to mark them off, the most they're the targets, but they're most important inflection points. So again, you guys know how I like to box things off to make it simple. Boom. Okay, so there's box 1, and box 2 would look like this right here. And we can get rid of this box, even though I think it's still very relevant. Go down to the 5-minute now, and these are your targets, right? So you still got to get above 22,810, right? So we've done nothing of consequence. And in fact, we've done something that we don't want to see. So we do need to see price. I wouldn't say has to be today, but it would definitely be helpful if price can reclaim 22,810. You can see we've been talking about how we're flirting with the idea of closing back below this support, which is a prior local high right here. Don't want to see dailies starting to close below this level and turning it into resistance, because then you're just living at the lower half of your range. And there's a difference between consolidation at support and consolidation above support, meaning that you'd be consolidating potentially on top of support, and that's going to weaken support over time. Usually, that's a very real possibility. Whereas this right here, it's coming down, finding support. So you want to see this buy up look just like these, where you get a good buy up and you start reclaiming some levels. Because if you come down and you start pressing against this, it can get weaker and weaker until finally it breaks, and then you get a big sell-off, right? So that's what you have to be aware of in this instance. However, what did we talk about yesterday? We said that we all know the downside risk. Everyone in crypto has been talking about it. It's no secret what the targets are if we break down. The harder trade is that you had a really clean range and a very good set of levels here that we've been shilling for weeks now. I would argue that our levels are as clean as any. You've got some of the cleanest levels here to work off of. The harder trade is going to be taking the good trades that are there. Like right here, these are good trades. They're offering up entries for you and giving you low risk invalidations to take them. So take advantage of it while you can. You're going to eventually lose a trade no matter what. And so that you have to be okay with. Like, you just got this move down right here, broke above the VWAP, back down. What did we talk about? We don't want to break below the low here, and we got to break above the September high. So you're seeing a lot of action here at the lows, and the longer you spend below these levels trying to close down here, the more likely it is to break down. But until that happens, trade support and resistance for what they are, right? So that is how I would be looking at this. This is definitely, if you took this trade, you've already hit a take profit. If you were looking at this local move right here, where's your take profit going to be at? Probably the VWAP. You're almost already there. I would say that you've already tapped it. This you have. So if you took this one, first take profit's already the VWAP. It's very, very clean. You could also mark out the previous day low if you wanted to. You could say something like this over here. Obviously, I prefer 22,561 for what we just went over. But, your levels don't have to be perfect. They just have to kind of make sense and give you guys a gauge and a target, of what you're doing. So for me, that's how I've been looking at the range in comparison. So looking at what we just got, I'll probably let I'm going to let Max do that one. Look at all that OI just came off, 18 mil. Max, you want to hop in on that and talk about it at all?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it just took out the one long trade I was going to mention, because I don't want to say another SFP, but but yeah, it's now it blasted through the golden pocket that I was going to mention. If
I share your screen, share your XO. Look at all those zeros on the chart.
There we go. So I was going to share this one, but I like this one because you take in the lows and it just absolutely blasted through it just then. Let's have a look at this one initially. So looking at the price action for the day, you have had many buyers, as Magic mentioned. The crossover was good here, the delta switch up, and you've got the buyers coming in at this region on the charts, and you can clearly see them when you zoom in. You've got a lot of buyers there, and that pretty much continued. Even after this little dump, you had more buyers come in, and when people like this that have bought in these regions, when they see another dip and they get a spike from it, that's where people trail their stop losses to. It's a logical thing to do, but that's why price will then seek to trigger all them stop losses. So that's all I'm really looking at this as. It was just taking out all the traders that have bought it down here, bought in this region of the chart, saw this low, thought, you know what, that's a nice place to put my stop loss. And, they just got wrecked. And that was in about like a 2 to 3 second candle. You did get some buying imbalances in here initially. Does it look like it's going to go any higher? Well, other than those buying imbalances, you've not really had anything to say that this is, going to be it. However, you have had the makings of it, with that being the volume spike. 59 million is huge on a 5-minute candle. Negative 42 million delta, that is also very big. And, they've wiped out a lot of longs there. So it really negates, this little move here, negates looking for a swing failure pattern here, pretty much, because you've wiped out all the traders, all the longs. So there's no point really looking for a swing failure pattern here unless you were to get trap traders. That's the only way that you'd want to trade this swing failure pattern now, because it just wiped out everyone. So to be so enthusiastic when I say wiped out then. But yeah, the only other long that you've really got is that single print below us, and it's not very far. It's really not. And is it going to hold? It's going to be an important one. But now it has taken this all this liquidity. Arguably, you could warrant it's going to seek the higher liquidity now, taking all the longs out, and potentially going to come up and maybe put pressure on that 22,800 or 22,810, because I know Magic loves that number. I feel like he said it so much over the last month. 2 weeks. It's been a big level.
It's been gold, man. Gold.
Honestly, I think every stream you mention it. It's brilliant. But yeah, this little move has pretty much taken out what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about the trade, because Magic took this trade. I took this one. And this is the reason for the members in the group that I was not in the members update. So I took this long here. It was an SFP of the low that we had before. We mentioned it on stream. It was the SFP of this low. Zooming into it, you can see that you had a very clear delta switch up. You also had right at the bottom some trap traders. You can see the open interest increase on the negative delta. So you had some trap traders buying imbalances in the candle that pushed you away on the 1 mil volume chart. It was very neat. So I entered in this region. First take profit hit the VWAP, and I thought, you know what? I've caught a good one here. I'm going to sit up and wait this one out. It was going to reject it on it to stop me out. So I waited, removed my stop loss at entry, waited. I thought, you know what? It got to like 4 a.m. I think it was about here that I thought, you know what? I'm going to just put my stop loss to entry and walk away from the charts. So I was up to like 4 a.m. and we do the members update at 6. I slept through every single alarm, and I slept through the drop, which is very rare because I have a lot of alarms that go off. But yeah, that's why I missed the members update. But yeah, right now, with it taking out the liquidity, if it does come down, I'm not really going to be looking for a swing failure pan trade. And then it's a case of, does it bounce at the single print, or does it lose it? And if you're not in a hedge already, that'd probably be a point where you could potentially just hedge. And if you reclaim it, you can close your hedge out and you've lost nothing, So, that's one way that I would trade it if you're not already in a, position to cover 1,000, possibly more drop, which could come with the loss of the single print. But yeah, I'm going to keep it pretty quick, Magic. I've not really got too much to say. I don't know where you're hiding.
How dare you? We're at what, 20 minutes? Well, Bitcoin is trying to bounce a little bit here, guys. So remember, as we talked about, you've got a nice range. I do like that you're emphasizing that a swing failure pattern doesn't make sense there because we've already taken out those traders. It's very relevant because a lot of people will preset for that. They'll just set a buy at the low, knowing that price usually gets a reaction off those areas because of stop losses, things like that. And in this case, probably gonna get wiped out, like in my opinion. I think at that point you just go straight through it potentially because I don't know what that single print's gonna offer up in terms of support. And to me,
Yeah.
it doesn't look good when you do that. So it's definitely kind of like you said. I think that the more likely scenario is if we can start hanging on to like that 22,561 level, get above 22,810, is start heading up to like 23.2 and then maybe even 23.7 over time, and take out some other traders and continue the range, which I would be a big fan of. If it doesn't, though, it's kind of like you said, be prepared to hedge. But yeah, it's still range bound. The order flow has been pretty good, been pretty easy. I don't look at it quite the same way that Max does, as in depth, but you guys have to do what works for you and find your entries. That's why I keep mine as simple as I do. I only work on the 5 mil volume chart. I almost never even get over to the minute chart, which I'm sure drives Max absolutely insane to a degree, because I know that he said that my buying imbalances that are on the screen and stuff are like really tiny, all that stuff. So
I tried it for a while. I just couldn't get used to it, mate. I have both of them up. I have the volume one and
yeah.
you look at the footprint on the volume chart. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right.
Well, I mean, luckily you don't make the rules. So
Very true.
I don't think there's really anything else to talk about. I've gone over where I'm interested in altcoins again. We'll see if we get them. It really is going to depend a lot on what happens with Bitcoin and the DXY here. But they're all kind of doing, I wouldn't say doing nothing, but they're a little bit on the stagnant side. They've all run into resistances. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's too relevant, that's new to talk about. Everything's kind of just, stuff we've covered. Let's see, Adam. I'm just rolling through 5 or 6 of them that I'm actively trading, and all the targets that I have, none of it's been invalidated. So I don't think I'm gonna hop onto too many alts. I'll probably be live tomorrow night again, guys, for an altcoin live stream. So if you guys are into those Friday night streams, you're more than welcome to stop by. Usually they're a little later in the evening, 8 o'clock my time. So that's Central Standard Time in the US. That's like 5 or 6 a.m. for Max, so he's usually still asleep. But if you're in the Eastern time zone, it's just 1 hour after that. So if you got to put the kids to bed, things like that, I'm giving you time, right? So I don't have anything else to talk about either. Probably going to hop off, keep this one fairly short.
You're getting a lot of buying. I'll just go over what's happening right here. When you see a ton of aggressive buying, because that's what delta is, that's what you see on the footprint chart. You see the delta. So you can see here there's a ton of market buying. That was disgusting magic. You've got 10 million, just over 10 million buys here. And they're failing to, it's okay. One thing, it's good that there's buyers coming in, which is great. It's what you want to see if you want it to climb. However, when they are failing to push the price, what is this? $50, less than $50. When they're failing, that amount of delta is failing to push the price, $50, shows you that someone's there holding it down in a limit order. You're really testing who's going to break first. Are the people that are aggressively buying into this order and not finding any, luck with their trade? They're not finding they're breaking the move. Are they going to break, or is it the person sat with the limit order? But when you're getting this, normally it doesn't end too well for the aggressive trade. So, keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm done. Sorry.
You mean to tell me that longing just underneath the VWAP's not a good idea?
Thought that was the best setup.
Yeah. Yeah. But all right, guys, I'm gonna pop off here. Do us a favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're not. Leave a comment on the videos if feel so inclined, and I don't know where that came from. Join the Leading Crypto Discord. That's you.
I was doing it yesterday. I was like, that's cool. I can do this one as well.
We will see you on the Sin City stream today. I'll be around for that, and then I'm on Debate Crypto after that as well. So I'll be doing TA Thursday with I believe it's going to be Miguel this week. So we'll see you over there. Cheers.